I need the account manager table to get the account manager's first and last name. Okay, and then I can close. That link should be there between account manager number and account manager. If it's not, make sure to click and drag those fields to link them together, to join them. And then the information I need, let's see here, the information I need is, let's see, account names. Where's my account name? There it is, account name. There's the field. City, account manager, first and last name. All accounts in Illinois. Okay, that's accounts in Illinois means the state is Illinois. But before figuring out the criteria, make it clear that those are the fields that I want. So I double check. Okay, account name. Yep, account name. City account manager. City account manager, first and last name. There it is, first name and last name. The only reason I need the state in the query is because that's determining what the criteria is. So I have to show the state. Even though I didn't say show city and state, if this is referring to state, I need to put that in the criteria. And then in the state criteria now, I have to scroll down a bit. The criteria for the state will be, what do you think? IL. Now some people would think, oh, let's put IL star. IL star doesn't do any better than IL because we know that's the specific state. If it was states beginning with the letter I, then it would be I star for the criteria. Now I know I should get some results. So there we have all of the different account managers. Now it would probably be good to separate them by the account manager. So let's go back to design and let's sort ascending by last name of my account manager. Just to make it look a little better. So we're seeing all of Karen Morawski's accounts first. So the sorting by, remember the sorting when you're sorting ascending by anything that's a text, that means alphabetical. Ordering by alphabetical. That's sorting ascending. Numbers, if you sort them, it's sorting by small to largest numbers. Does that make sense? This is the query that matches the criteria. List all the account names, city and account manager's name for all the accounts in the state of Illinois. That was just for practice. We'll do one more and then we'll go on to database management. I'll go ahead and save this. I'll call it practice 1. Practice 1, accounts in Illinois. Yes? No, you don't have to resubmit. Unless you want to. Alright, this is practice 2. I would save this for further future reference though, because as we prepare for the final, being able to go back and see how you did it. You could even put that in the description there. Okay, now let's make up another one just for practice. So I have accounts. Let's see. Let's see what's interesting. How about they're also different. Let's look for some. Let's look for particular accounts on a street that begins let's see. Let's look for accounts that are on a road that begins with letter F. a road, only a road that begins with the letter F. It's a little more complicated. List the accounts. List accounts on the road beginning with letter F. Someone is called up and that's all they can remember about the account, and they need to contact that account, that customer. Which is easier? I think I would start a new one just for practice. I think it's always best when you're practicing to start new. Later on, when you're using it, you could maybe, if it's complicated enough, I would start with a complicated one. But for practice, to build up your skills, I would start with a new one. So, query design. Now, which table has the information? So which table should I show? Yeah, the accounts table. I'm not asking anything about the account manager. You don't have to worry about the account manager unless the query or the statement was seeking some information about the account manager. And even the account manager number, that is the one thing that the account table has, is the account manager number. If I want anything beyond account manager number, then I need to bring in the other table. Now, this is something that's easy to forget. The criteria is just on the address field, but it doesn't make sense only to list the roads that they're on. So even though I'm not saying list the account name, street, city, state, at least when it says list accounts on the road, it would be good to think, okay, they didn't say, might as well list the number and the name How about, well, we're going to need the street because that's going to form our criteria. And let's go ahead and get city and state. Maybe not so much about the zip code. Something that's missing here, maybe I would think about that in my updating my database. I don't have a contact phone number or anything for these accounts. Okay, so I have that information. Now, what would the criteria be? I'll give you a clue. It has to do with the address. They need to be on a road, but the road's name begins with the letter F. So, throwing something a little more complicated at you here. It's a road beginning with the letter F. What would that criteria be? And it may not be perfect. Let's see how close we can get to the criteria. Well, let's look at the table just to see what they look like. Let's see, which one has a road beginning with the letter F? Let's see, we have 421 First. Oh, but that's an avenue, not a road. Okay, so when they're on a road, it has RD in it at the end. Okay, so it'd be RD period, but then there's also the road name. Looks like all the addresses have some number and then a space and then the street or road name and then the ending road. Okay, so knowing that, did that give you a little help on what should go here? Think about what would the address look like. It'd be some numbers followed by a space and then the road name begins with letter F. Don't know what road that is, so it's going to be followed by something, and then a space, and then RD period. Well, as you think through that, you could think, okay, something, that's star, followed by a space, and then followed by a word, or the road name begin with letter F. Don't know how the road is spelled, so I can do star after that. And then there's going to be a space, RD, period. Let's see if it puts like quotes around that, or if I have to put in the quotes myself. Oh, you look at that. It puts the like. Star means there could be anything there, and then a space, and then letter F, something, space, RD. Let's see if it captures the proper information. So I go to Datasheet View, and I catch the only company. Is that the only company on the road, RD, beginning with letter F? Let's take a look at the data just to see. There's Avenue, there's Feathering Road, Franklin Boulevard. Nope, that doesn't satisfy. Yep, there's only one that's Road, RD, ends with RD, begins with letter F. So that's a little more complicated one. Oh, and it doesn't like tables being open if I'm in the middle of a query. Go back to Design View. So does that make sense why I did that? Star, space, the road beginning with the letter F, and whatever spelling of the road name. But ending with RD made it only catch roads, not boulevards or parkways. So given a statement like this, you'll need to design a query. So getting towards the searching through Google. When you're looking at Google, you can do this kind of thing. You can actually do stars in Google searches. Yes? Or you're just looking. Okay. Okay, that's as complicated as we're going to get with query building. I would save that just as practice. You don't have to upload that to me. Now we'll go on to database administration, managing our database. We've got this precious information in our database. Now we want to maintain it. And the first thing I want to do before I possibly break this database, I'm going to make a copy of it. So I'm going to close this query, saving it as practice 2. And the easiest way to do the backup is I could go to File, Save As. Might as well do a Save As right out of here and give it the new name of my database. So I'm going to do Save As, Database, Save Database As, and then click the Save As button down at the bottom. And it's going to ask me the new name of my database. I'm going to save it in my documents for this class and change it from Module 2 to Module 3. We're going to save it as a new name. These are things that if you're working at a company, someone in the company, your IT person, or you've hired out, contracted out people to daily back up your database if you're doing a lot of transactions, or weekly making a backup. Or you have software installed that does a Carbonite backup into the cloud. So save this as Module 3, and what it does, it creates a new database with that name and opens it and asks you again, do you want to enable this? So you'll say yes. Now for this database, we have all those queries. We can leave them in there. But as we adjust the structure of our databases, those queries may not be as useful. But we can leave them in there in the queries stack of elements. But they are in our Module 2 if we ever need to get back to them. Now some things that we need to do in databases is get rid of some old records or correct some records. And I can correct account records just like I did initially. I can always come in here, treat it as if it were a spreadsheet, adjust any data in my account tables. We're also going to search for records. Queries do that. We can also use Control F as we're just viewing it in Datasheet View. We can even use Control F when I'm viewing it in Form View. We can filter only specific records as I look at a table. It's very similar to a query. I like queries better myself, but they want to show us how we can do this filtering when I'm viewing the data. We are going to change our table. We're going to adjust our table designs. Whenever you adjust the table design, your queries that you had before still are only using the old data. Any new data, if you want to use it in a query, you have to build new queries. You could also go back and modify queries. There's some very dangerous queries you're going to learn about. Mass updates and mass deletes. Those are very dangerous. All right, so let's go ahead. There's other things we're going to do as we adjust how this database works. We want to be able to specify a few different things about our customers. We could use existing tables and just modify the data here, but they want to show us one little thing here, making a form that actually shows us both data sheet view and a regular form view. It's called a split form. So remember the 3-click method to create a form. I select my table, the account table. I select the create button. Actually, this one is a click and slide and click because I want to go to the more forms and choose a split form, down hiding under the more forms. Because I have the account table selected, it will create a split form on the account table. So 4 clicks involved here. And it looks like a nice friendly form up above, but I also see the data down below. And as I navigate to different records in my form view, I will see different records down here. When I navigate, I will see my marker, my selected record, go down as the form displays up above. So nice friendly form. I can edit it here or edit it here. And let's see if we're actually making any changes to any records. Okay, we didn't make any change to records, so we're just going to save this. Control S, save this as, we're going to call it account split form. Even though it was really easy to make, we're just saving it to show that we did the work. So on the top, I'm seeing the friendly form. On the bottom, the record as it appears in my table. And I think I can even adjust what shows up there. And we're going to go all the way to the end. Now we're going to make use of this form after we've saved it. Oh, the 4-click? Okay. We choose our table that we want to create a form for. We choose create, the more forms, and the split form. There's the 4 clicks. If we only wanted one of the standard forms, it's a 3-click. Choose the table, create form. All right. Now back to here. We're going to make use of this. Now we're actually going to modify by adding a new record at the very end. Now there's a couple ways I could do this. I could just grab my slide over here, go to the very end and start typing here. Or I could click the right arrow little starry to the right of it, mean new blank record, takes me down to that field. As soon as I start typing, either in the form or in the database data sheet view, I'm entering new data. And I can hardly read. I'm going to have to zoom in here in my book section. SL326 looks like. Enter that data into my table, either up above or down below. Uh-oh, it's not letting me type. I guess type down here. That's irritating. If I look at my form view, now I can type in both areas. SL326. South Liberty Consortium. H62 Maple. City of Wells. State of Indiana. 46007. And it's a new account, so these numbers are 0. Typing 0 in, and account manager, let's see, it looks like 58. Now nothing is keeping me right now from typing the wrong account manager. Go to Home and make sure to view Form View. For some reason I was stuck in Layout View and it won't let you type in there. If you go Home, Form View, then it should let you type. I don't know why it did that to us. Put us in Layout View instead of Form View. Now notice I can type in any old number here and it doesn't complain about me putting in a manager that doesn't exist. So there is a problem. We're going to fix that later on. Right now I put in 58. I can go back and see that there is a 58. But it's not making me do that. That's something that we're going to want to have access. Make sure we choose an existing account manager. Alright, ready to go on? And we could just as well have typed down here in Datasheet View. That's the nice thing about the split form. You get to choose your method of entering data. And I can go use my arrow keys down at the bottom. It reflects the new account up here. If there were attachments, I could even be adding attachments to my records. And that's something we're going to be modifying our design of our table. Okay, so save that and close that. I think we're ready to close it. Let me zoom back out here. If we wanted to search for a record in the split view, I can just do Control F, and it brings up the Find or Replace box. Standard Find and Replace choices. So if I searched for, what do they ask us to search for? LI. I can search for specific fields or all fields. And I can match part of the field or match the whole field. So if I search for LI something, there it finds a Midwest Library, South Liberty, or other things with an LI somewhere in it. So very flexible search and replace. They want to look for specifically LI-268. Well, let's change that to LI-268. And find that one. There, they found record LI-268. And let's see if we're making any changes to LI-268. Looks like we're good. Alright, so that was just a quick example of searching. We don't need any, there's nothing to save there. It just showed us how we could find something. We are going to modify our user that has a Fleming after, we're going to add Fleming after Idsen. So where's our Idsen account? Oh, is this account managers? No, account names. Where's our Idsen? There's his Lars Idsen. Someone else has been added to this company. We're adding dash Fleming. And this shows us the importance of not having redundancy. They changed their account name. We don't want to change it anywhere else. And if account manager changes, we only want to make the change in one place. This should be our only location for the listing of that particular account name. And unless I adjust my column width, this change is immediately going into the database. Now they decide that account JM323 is no longer an active customer. So they're going to go back and delete that record. But this is something that many companies and many record keepers are very afraid to do. Why should we delete that record? We might need to show something like next year, or maybe call them back, maybe produce some reports of who our customers were. So a lot of times in databases, nothing ever gets deleted, and databases grow and grow and grow and get bogged down with too much data. Eventually, people have to clean up the data, but before you ever clean up data, be sure you have a backup first. In case you do need to go do that government report from last year, you'll say, okay, we've deleted those records from the database, but we can go to our database before we removed records, before we did the cleanup. And that's why backups are so important. You may need to go back. So we're going to just select on JM323, and I can right-click in that row and click Delete Record. It'll give me a warning, but this is something you cannot you cannot undo. This is something that happens to the database, and the data is gone. Your only undo is to restore the backup if you delete records from a database. So make sure you have the right one chosen before you finally delete it. And now it's no longer in our table. We've deleted JM323. We've gotten all their payments. If we ever have to go back, now it's going to be harder to find information about that company. Now we can close this split form now and go back to accounts and just look at the accounts table. And they want to demonstrate filtering by selection. For example, I click on this city, Granger, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm interested in other people in that city. I could scan down, I could sort ascending by that, and they'll be all together. Grangers are all together. Or I could click Filter, or over here, Selection, Filter contains or is equal to Granger. This is called Filter by Selection. And it's like it's building me a query on the fly. Just show me from the table right now anyone in that city. That's the Filter by Selection. And I can turn that filter off and go back to viewing everything. So it's like, without having to build a query, I can look for example here, I could look for everyone in Indiana, click on the city of Indiana, and click on Filter by Selection, toggle filter. If it's the first time, I can always click there, and it will, by default, filter by that selection. A handy way to view the data without changing anything in the data. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to some actual changes to my database, because they're a lot like queries. Then you can just turn the filter off. We're not doing anything with it, so we're just practicing how these filters work. But we want to jump ahead to actually making changes to our database, because you can do filtering, you can do queries. We're not really making any changes, we're just viewing the data. But now comes some important thing here. We're going to change our database structure. We could delete fields, we could move fields around, but what they want to do is add a new field called account type. So remember how to get to the construction, the design of the table, it's easiest to view it clicking on the triangle here. And we're going to go down to the amount paid field because we want to insert a new field to the left of it in datasheet view, means above it in design view. So right click, insert a row. Insert a row inserts it above the row I'm at. And the name we're going to give to this one is account type. A new field in the account table called account type. And this is going to be a special kind of field. It's not just going to be something we type in. We're going to select it from a list. And that's called creating a lookup field, a lookup type. So it's called account type, but in the data type column, we're going to click the selection, go all the way down to the bottom using the lookup wizard. And we are going to type in, go ahead and go open after you get that security warning. We're going to type in the values that I want to be selectable in this particular field. Okay, so lookup wizard in the data type, I will type in the values I want. And now we get to type in the values we want. Listed on page AC 130 something. Yep. So you're in design view. Your account type, you added that. And the data type, go down to the bottom lookup wizard. Did you get that? So we added a new row above amount paid by right-clicking new row. And then we gave it a name, account type. And then instead of short text, the default, we go to lookup wizard. And then choose, I will type in the values I want. And then next. And we're putting 3 choices here, SIR, non, and IND. Just like a mini little table, I'm filling in some data. And you can think of it, I'm actually creating a tiny little table for choices to be selected. We're only going with one column. And then I click next. We are not going to allow multiple values, and we're going to let them be able to type in a new account type. I would limit it to list if I didn't want them to be able to make up their own account types. Alright, and then I'm going to click Finish. Now I don't see the effect of that because all I see is short text here. But if I go back to Datasheet View, saving my changes, I will see that account type column over here. And I will see that I can choose from that list what to fill in that particular column. Now, it's bugging me that it's way to the right. I thought it would show right after postal code. Let me go back to design view. Oh, maybe it is okay. So after, yeah, I was expecting it to show up over there. Well, let's see how they show it in the book. I guess they don't have a picture of what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, is everyone good with that? Remember how I did it? Design view, lookup wizard, and actually, if you then go down here and click on the lookup, you will see how it added that for you as the wizard was walking you through what could go in there. It actually builds your little table. Here is the possible choices. Now we're going to add another one. We're going to add another field. This one's going to be a little more complicated. We're going to add a field called services needed, and let's see if we're putting it right above amount paid. So it's going to be account type. I'm going to right click up so we get a new row above amount paid. This one is going to be a services needed. And a similar but not quite the same lookup. I'm going to choose the lookup wizard for this one as well. And I think we're typing in the values we want. Yep, we're going to type in the values I want. And the values that they give to put in there are listed in a table. These are the different services I want. BCK for background checks. Oops, don't hit enter, you got to hit the arrow down. BEN for benefits. COM for compliance. MGT for HR management. PAY for payroll. REC for recruiting. RSK for risk management. TCH for technology. TRN for training. And WRK for workman's comp. And I can't stretch that out to make them more visible, but there is a table AC 130 something. BCK, BEN, COM, MGT, PAY, REC, RSK, TCH, TRN, and WRK. Ready to go on? Nice thing about the wizard, you can go next and back until you hit the final finish. Give a little time to get those in there. WRK for workman's comp. Second to last one, TRN for training. Now this one, we are going to allow multi-values here. And it looks like we're still not checking limit to list. I always get nervous if I don't limit to list. Oh, it looks like when you allow multiple values, it does limit it to the list. Alright, and then the only thing left to do now is finish. And we see in the lookup table properties, we see all those things I typed in listed there. And limit to list is turned to yes. So without the wizard, I'd have to do this stuff on my own. You click the lookup tab, and do you have that services needed selected? See, those are two different tabs to show. Now to actually see if it's working, I go to Datasheet View, saving my changes, and now I should see a column services needed right there. Now they're in the right place. Now I see account services needed, and here's how it looks. See how I can check multiple things in the services needed. Just showing it how it worked. And you can go ahead and you can browse through there, just see how it works. Pretty user friendly. Could be better looking, but you can choose what particular service they may need. And the account type. So those are the two fields we've just added. making this table a little bit more useful to us. Now, remember how we did a calc? Yes. Oh man, just having too much fun. All right, save it there. We'll continue this next time. Managing our database. Thanks for letting me know.